Welcome to Nesmith House. We are celebrating the 20th anniversary of the decorated show house done in 1994 when the college acquired the John Nesmith House. So that is why we have the theme Reflections. So let's take a tour of the house. Many guests have entered this front door over the years. Inside, many treasures await. Our old house was built in 1843. And for 70 years on Christmas Eve, our relatives and friends gathered here as mother and father found pleasure in entertaining. This is the music room, and it was decorated by the Drake Garden Club. Highlights our piano that was a donation to the Nesmith House from the Tavares family back in 1996. This is the lower room, decorated and embellished by the Crandall ladies and has a theme of afternoon tea. The mural that you see was the artwork of Janet Lambert Moore, a local artist, done back in the show house in '94. And it's an artist's depiction of what you would see if you were looking out the windows in that period of time. An interesting note is that if you look out this window to the right, you can also see the smokestack that still exists today. The Nesmith family was very benevolent and quite charitable, a tradition that continued into the 20th century when the Nesmith daughters and granddaughters raised funds for their favorite charities. Afternoon teas were the focus of these meetings and workshops. To accent this exquisite room, ribbons from the local haberdashery and dressmakers' scraps were utilized in very creative fashion, as well as the gathering of local greens and beautiful lilies grown in the home's glass conservatory. This is the living room with the Christmas tree. That is an annual accent put up by the Spindle City Garden Club. This year they assisted us in decorating the entire room, the mantel. In Victorian style, the warm tones of the furnishings throughout the room are embellished with highlights of gold, silver, and crystal as the family gathers near the fire on a chilly Christmas Eve. Welcome to the dining room. A local garden shop from Dunstable, Branches and Blooms at Blossom Hill, has set an elegant table. The Victorian dining room inspires classic design with a dramatic flair. Sugared fruit, boxed wood greens, and fanciful bows pay homage to the splendor and beauty of a bygone era. Joseph Nesmith, shown here, is the one that I've been quoting some poetry from as we've gone through the house. The other portraits or prints of people are people that would have lived in that era of time, so their pictures are here, assuming that they may have visited the house when the Nesmith family lived here. This mural was done by an artist back in 1994 for the decorated show house. And they embellished the mural right onto the bench, which makes it come alive. This is the John Nesmith parlor, which was actually John Nesmith's office when he lived here back in the 1800s. And it was decorated by the Nesmith staff, particularly Maria Estrada, our very talented gardener. This is the portrait of John Nesmith on the wall. And again, a quote by Joseph Nesmith. "My father was lieutenant governor under Governor Andrews during the Civil War. He also owned property in the city and several suburban mills. The Honorable John Nesmith also kept a wine cellar. Like today, a punch bowl was prominent on his sideboard." La Petite Rue is what this is referred to. Now, the story behind La Petite Rue: when they finish dressing for the soiree ahead, the master and the lady meet here before they begin their descent down the grand staircase for a magical evening as host and hostess. They pause together here to view the panorama of the city and contemplate their good fortune. The judge's chambers, as it was referred to back in the decorated show house. Sometimes it's been called the Lincoln Room. We have a picture of Abraham Lincoln on the wall. And we know that back in 1843 that Lincoln did visit the city of Lowell, but we have no evidence that he visited the Nesmith house. But we'd like to think that perhaps he and John Nesmith met each other during that time because they were both Republicans, active in the community and politics. The masculine flavor of the chamber is evident. The dressing room reflects the Asian influence of beauty and serenity so popular in the 1800s. The bath has been decorated to reflect and honor the marriage of old and new in a room refurbished at the end of the 20th century. The soothing comfort of the tub, warmth of candlelight, and the luxury of marble made this bath a welcome place to come home to after an evening with the Lowell gentry. Now we're in the ladies' chambers. Again, as I mentioned before, this is decorated by Anne and Elizabeth Sheehy. John Nesmith built this house back in 1843 for her, his new bride, his third wife at the time. They had 14 children together, 7 of which lived through adulthood. But it's a feminine room, so having the ladies decorate was a nice addition to that. What you see here is just a lovely dressing table that I'm sure the ladies used when they were preparing to go out in the evening. The festive colors and warm textures evoke a grand Victorian Christmas evening at the Nesmith house. Harriet Rebecca Manser Nesmith prepares for the Christmas ball. Mr. and Mrs. Whistler are attending. My mother's dress in blue satin, Mrs. Whistler's in red velvet. Mrs. Francis declared them as the belles of the ball. Again, words of Joseph Nesmith. Something to note in the upstairs hallway is the Nesmith dome that was restored by Max Funderburk back in 1997. And then the quilt that you see hanging was also donated by Suzanne Knapp of the Lowell Quilt Museum back in 1998, which reflects the dome. Now we enter the upstairs oval room in elegant fashion, decorated by John Cascio of Fine Art and Design. His theme is a Nesmith wedding. The neutral palette, pair of grand gilded mirrors, and the architectural details called to me. I immediately envisioned a bride reflecting on her most important day, set in individual vignettes of wedding day details, incorporating accents of metallic, glitter, mirror, crystal. With some surprises, it won't be your traditional red and green holiday wedding. Our wedding cake, compliments of John Cascio, is a kind of funky, eccentric accent to the upstairs hallway. Welcome to Aunt Charlotte's room. Stepping back into the Peacock room, we travel back 100 years, when the Nesmith house was home of Joseph Aaron Nesmith, his wife, Louise Ardell Barker, and their 4 children, Harriet, Louise, Elizabeth, Joseph, and Mary. Among this generation of Nesmith family members, the Arts League of Lowell discovered kindred souls in their love and passion for local art, quiet retreats, and travel to faraway places. This is the guest bath, decorated by Danielle and Samantha Bangs. Dream of pampering yourself in an English rose garden, which is resplendent with luxurious holiday greens, along with some nutcrackers. This is Aunt Harriet's room, and Danielle and Samantha Bangs also embellished this room for the holidays. With simple elegance, this room has a graceful fireplace and elegant bedding with fine period furnishings. Simple greens and white lights seem fitting to complement the 1934 portrait of Harriet Louise Nesmith. The reflective components in the room are used as a metaphor, as if to reflect on the past, but with a modern-day twist. Welcome to the Nesmith study. This was decorated by our very own Nesmith House staff. St. Nicholas collection brightens the imagination of children of all ages. And we can imagine the Nesmith family gathered around the fire, reading their Christmas books on Christmas Eve. Fondly referred to as the maid's quarters. Christmas is a time of joy and celebration. Traditional colors of burgundy, green, gold, and white are blended with fresh greens and wreaths to add a festive air to this charming room. Across the hall, a warm bath awaits. You can see there's a fireplace. Back in the day when the Nesmith family lived here, there would have been a warm hearth for those that are stepping out of a chilly bathroom. This is the back stairway leading us down for some special treats. Just like the Nesmith children used to tiptoe past the holiday greenery in the warmth of the kitchen, we invite you to partake in sweets that await. As you pass by, peek at the stairway below. The potting bench is a favorite of the gardeners. Welcome to the kitchen and butler's pantry. The Nesmith family, known for their lavish entertaining and dinner parties, would have loved this kitchen. As we reflect on this 20th anniversary, it's clear the 1994 designers were ahead of their time in this modern kitchen. The butler's copper sink is filled with the spirit of the holidays, which is original to the house. Thank you to our own Nesmith House staff and Middlesex Community College for their unwavering commitment to excellence in all of our endeavors. We gratefully acknowledge all of our volunteers who donated their time during the busy holidays. Thank you to our preferred caterers and staff, Bianco's Catering, Currier and Chives, Lisa Callery, and Sweet Tales Cake Boutique. As we reflect on the past, we count our blessings with hope that peace may prevail throughout the world. Please remember to support our local artists and small businesses. May your holidays be happy and your new year fruitful. Thank you for stopping by the Nesmith House on our 20th anniversary celebration, Reflections. Good night.